Alpha.
What's up guys, how's it going? My name is Henry Marsh and welcome to a 10 one light portrait setup. This is our amazing model page. We've got Emil behind the camera helping out today as well. So we're just going to be running through 10 different one light setups. I'm going to be trying to use a speed light predominantly. There might be one or two other shots where I use a slightly bigger light just to portray something else differently. But what I really want you guys to take away from this entire experience is that you don't need a lot of gear to come away with professional results. You literally just need one light, and often that can just be one speed light. You don't even have to get it off your camera to get amazing results. I'll show you guys how to do it right here from on top of your camera. So yeah, let's get started. Cool, so our very first one light setup that we are going to be doing is, you can actually see I've got the flash on top of the camera, and I'm gonna make this look as if the flash is coming from off camera. You can do this in any room of your house as long as you've got white walls. And all I'm gonna be doing is bouncing my flash off of this white wall over here to get an off-camera flash look. So I like to start off with every single one of my inside studio portrait shots at a camera setting of 1/250th of a second for your shutter speed, f8 for the aperture, and ISO 200 for the ISO. A lot of people ask me, why do I use ISO 200? And that's literally just because I don't like my flashes working too hard. And often, even at ISO 200, I'm cutting out all the ambient light. So our very first shot over here is just gonna be a test shot just to show you guys that there is absolutely no ambient light coming into the shot. It's completely black. Okay, and then I'm going to switch on my flash. Now, a lot of times you can use a flash meter that you can just put up in front of Paige's face over here that you can meter the light. I don't have one here with me today, and I guarantee you that 90% of the people who are watching this also don't have one. So all just using trial and error. I've got the flash on manual setting, the camera's on manual settings, so the only thing that's gonna change is my flash output. So right now I've got the flash on 1/16th of a power. We're gonna have a look and see how that looks. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna take a look, and that is too dark. So we're just gonna bring the flash power up here a little bit. Take our next shot. Oh, still a bit dark. Might need to bring up my ISO. Let's have a look. Beautiful. And there you can see, so maxing out the flash's power at full power, we've got this amazing gradient coming in from the right-hand side, just coming across Paige's face. Beautiful, beautiful soft light. As you can see, what's happening is we're using this tiny little light source that would normally create a hard light, and we're bouncing it off of this massive surface area of the wall over here to create a beautiful soft light just streaking across Paige's face. Cool, so our very next setup that we're gonna be doing is actually a look that I'm a really big fan of. This is a look that you'll actually find a lot of backstage fashion photographers use, and that is something that a lot of people will tell you never ever to do, and that is literally just on camera, direct, hard light coming straight at your model. And I'm gonna show you guys once again how that looks. Once again, I'm just gonna do a test shot here where the flash is off. We're gonna be cutting out all the ambient light. You should be seeing a completely black image right now. And then we switch the flash on, and we're gonna just do one test shot here quickly. Again, sometimes I'd be using a light meter just to make sure my light is 100%, but we're just gonna do a couple of test shots to see where we get our light. So this is direct on-camera flash, and we'll take a look. And again, for some people this might look very like a passport kind of photo, but in the right instances, especially if, like as I said, guys, backstage of Fashion Week, really popular look. And if I get Paige to turn her head sideways, you can actually get a nice, amazing look with this as well, with a nice hard shadow hitting the background. And that to me looks amazing. Okay guys, so as you can see over here, we've got our trusty little speed light here on a stand, slightly off camera, off axis. Now, how I like to set up all my flashes is I like to start it off with like a 45. So 45 degrees up from our subject and sort of 45 degrees to this side. Now people always ask me, which side do I choose? And that literally depends on the model. 90% of the time you'll have a model who's got a hair parting one way. Paige is one of those amazing human beings. She's just got a middle part, so it means both sides of her face are beautiful. So I've got the flash set up here on the right-hand side, and what I've got the flash set up to do is to talk to this trigger on the camera, and I've got this on group A, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my trigger up to be on group A as well. I'm just going to do a test shot there. There we go. And so what this allows me to do is it allows me to bring the flash off camera, and I'm able to use the trigger to talk to the flash to take a shot of Paige. So what we're trying to do with this look is, again, we're going for a hard light look. So as you can see, small light source relative to our subject, and I'm trying to go for quite a high key look. So what I might actually end up doing is just pulling this off a little bit further back. Might bring it up a little bit higher. So as you can see, I've just brought the flash just slightly further back. And again, I'm going to do a test shot where I'm cutting out all the ambient lights, so you shouldn't be seeing anything in this shot over here. And then just doing a test shot now with my flash. I know from my previous shots where I was doing the hard lights with the flash directly on the camera that my flash's settings were around 1/16 of a second. I'm going to hope that this is going to be something similar. We'll have a look right now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, so I can already see our flash is slightly dark. So I'm just going to bring this off slightly more to the right. I'm seeing a little bit of a shadow to the left-hand side. I'm going to bring our flash up a little bit. Paige, can I ask you to bring your head a little bit more to this way for me, please? There we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Beautiful. I'm going to do one more. Just bringing the flash up slightly higher. And you can start to see we've got a little bit of a high key look going on over here with our white background and Paige also looking really great. And as I said, so here we go. We've got the flash power at 1/8 of a second, slightly off to the right, hard light, hitting Paige for a high key look. Okay, so our next lighting setup that we're going to be doing is very, very similar to the last one, but we're actually going a little bit more for a low key look. So what I've done is I've put a little magnetic strip around the camera over here. You can find these at any camera store, and then as well as a grid that goes on top of the camera. And what this allows the flash to do is it allows the flash to not have as much spill. And so I'm going to show you exactly what that does, and hopefully our background actually, and even now that Paige is so close to the white background, we're going to have a completely black background. Let's see if we can get that right. What's that facing you? Fabulous. Okay, so as before, we've got our setup, 1/250th of a second, f8, ISO 200. From here on out, I'm probably not going to do any more of the test shots to show you guys the black background. I'm just going to go straight into doing these lighting shots. So Paige, head a little bit the other way to the right. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay, so just going to bring this a little bit more around. And I'm just going to drop our power outage. So what's happened is I've brought the flash a little bit closer to Paige. So even though our power outage was the same as the previous shots, the flash exposure is just a little bit bright. And I'm just making sure that the shadow is where I want it to be. Beautiful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you can see there's a bit of a strange shadow on Paige's nose. So what I'm doing is I'm just bringing up the flash a little bit. And here you guys can see I'm literally just doing a bit of a trial and error until we get the light exactly as we want it. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Beautiful. And if we want to be really pedantic and really get that Rembrandt styled lighting, we can actually bring the flash up just a touch higher and get that perfect. Here we go. Perfect. Okay guys, so we are on to our 5th lighting set. I think it's number 5. And so what you guys can see over here is, this is called a umbrella softbox or a brolly. And it's literally just an umbrella that's inverted with some diffusion material over here. And as you can see, I've got it nice and close to Paige. So what I often get asked about is the difference between hard and soft light, and that is really just the size of your light source compared to your subject, relative to your subject. So what happens is, if I take this light stand and move it 2 or 3 meters back, what happens is the light source actually becomes a lot harder because it becomes a lot smaller relative to where page is. So I've got this nice and close. I'm going to come and sneak in underneath the softbox over here. And what we're going to try and go for is just a nice soft light, almost like a Paramount lighting setup. To get a true Paramount lighting setup, you actually need a C-stand, but I'm going to try and keep these lighting setups as simple as possible. So nice and close. I'm going to just do a quick test here and have a look to see what we get. And that looks amazing. So right here again, guys, we've got our shutter speed of 250th of a second, f8, ISO 200, and our speed light that we're still using, even in a softbox like this, is at half a power. Okay guys, so as you can see over here, we've got our off-camera flash set up right in front of a V-flat. Now, you don't necessarily need a V-flat to do this. A white sheet on a stand, even a white wall is perfect. Now, this is going to give us a very, very similar look to our on-camera flash bouncing off of a wall. The only thing that this allows us to do is gives us a lot more control over the look and feel of our light. So I'm going to try and create a bit of a Rembrandt styled lighting setup over here. And I've got this just flashing into the V-flat. Might just push this around a little bit more forwards, and we're going to see what we get. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, beautiful. Just take a look. Okay, so got our flash still set up on the previous setting of a half, a little bit bright. So I'm just going to bring this down to a quarter, and we'll do another test shot. Stunning. So what's really, really nice about this setup, as you can see, is very slightly different to the bounced flash from earlier. Because our light source is a lot closer, it's also becoming a lot more soft, but the fall off onto the background is also becoming a little bit more dramatic. So you'll actually see the background's a little bit darker as well. So what I'm gonna do is you can actually now start to play around with where you have this flash, and you can have the flash coming from a little bit more in front of page. And then, so that gives you one look. And then you can also have the flash coming from a little bit more from the side of page, like so. And that'll also give you a different kind of look. And that's a little bit more like our Rembrandt style lighting. Okay, so for our very next lighting setup, we're starting to get into a little bit more of the creative side of photography. And what we're going to be doing now is we're actually going to be cutting light. So all I've got is I've got a board over here. It's just really just a piece of cardboard that I've got on a C-stand. Now, again, you don't need a C-stand. You can get a family member of yours to hold the board up. You can keep the board up with some books, maybe a clamp on a pole of some kind. Or you really just need something in front of your flash. We got the flash over here still off camera, and I'm going to be using a grid again just to help us cut a little bit more of that light. Now this gets a little bit tricky trying to find the right place of the board as well as your light source. Okay, so this works a lot better with a hard light source simply because you get a lot more definition. So it's going to be a bit of trial and error, and we'll see how we go. Cool, so again, same settings as before. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look. And that was like almost perfect. Okay, Paige, if you turn your head a little bit more to the side over there, that's perfect. All right. So this literally just comes to a bit of trial and error. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do another setup. So we've got that one where the light is cutting off the side. You'll actually see that Paige's side is completely cut off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up a little higher. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and mask out Paige's eyes and just illuminate her mouth. Let's see how that goes. I have a feeling I need to bring this up a little higher. Can you still see it? Light. There we go. Fabulous. So let's take a test shot over here. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Okay, now we've got lights on the background, but that's cool. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to bring this more to the side. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so this is where the trial and error comes down. I'm just going to bring this down a little bit. Just turn this slightly. we go. Here we go, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Very nice. So as I said, bit of trial and error, placing your flash and your piece of cardboard into different places. And that's literally just allowing you to cut the light, hard lines. You can use really anything. It's called a gobo, literally just the go between. Some people like to use little patterns. You can actually cut across in here, make it look like a window. And that's how the guys get that effect in studio. As you can see over here, we've got a massive, massive umbrella going on over here. And this is actually a really, really popular lighting setup for, again, fashion photographers doing shoots in studio where they're having to get a lot of looks all out really, really, really quickly. So the light is set up right behind me. And again, today we're just focusing on portraits, but you can use this setup for full length body shots. And it looks a little bit something like this. Again, you can play around with the placement, do a few test shots just to make sure that you're getting the right power output, but it's a really popular beauty lighting setup and you'll actually see what that looks like right now. So as you can see, I'm getting nice and close to this light stand over here, and I'm actually standing in a little bit of the umbrella, but it's big enough that I'm not covering much of the light. So here we go, page 1, 2, 3, beautiful. And so what's really, really nice about this look and quite unique about it is the catch lights in the eyes. And if I actually get a little bit closer to page, like so, you can actually start to see me in the catch lights. Cool guys, so what we've got set up over here is, again, this is a 2 light. It's technically a 2 light setup, but also really I'm still just using 1 speed light. This light that I've got set up over here, I'm literally just using this to simulate what you can use as a lamp. Literally, if you've got a bedside lamp that you can be using, it's just creating a constant light source. And what we're going to start doing is to drag the shutter. So I'm going to bring my shutter speed all the way down to sort of like 1/10 of a second. And what we're going to start to create is we're going to have this light coming on page, which is a constant light. And our speed light is going to capture and freeze the motion. All right. So this speed light we've got set up in a little bit of a small little softbox over here with a grid. Again, the grid is just helping us to prevent the spill of the light. And as you can see, I've just got a black curtain going on in the background over there. So again, this is really just trying to simulate some movement. So that's why we've got the constant light and we've got the speed light to capture and freeze that motion. So we're going to try a few different variations, a few where I'm moving the camera, a few where Paige is moving her head, and we're going to see what we're going to get. Cool beans. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a few just with moving the camera, and then we can move on to you moving your head around. You can maybe even shake your hair or something, which I think will look cool. So as you can see, it's giving you a very like ethereal kind of effect. These shots are all taken with me moving the camera around, and what we're going to do now is we're going to get a few shots where Paige is going to move around. So here we go, Paige. Okay, go for it. Oh, that one was cool. Okay, so now we are on to our very, very last portrait lighting setup using just 1 speed light. I'm quite proud that we've gotten through 10 different setups using just a speed light. I thought we would have to bring in a more powerful light, but it just goes to show you guys that you can create amazing, stunning imagery using just 1 speed light. So this last setup is going to be very, very similar to the previous one where we had the shutter drag, bringing our shutter speed all the way down to 1/10 of a second, still having our aperture at f8, ISO at 200. All I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to present into this situation a colored gel onto the flash, still with our grid, and that's going to come on. But now, instead of doing a shutter drag where I'm going to be pulling and creating motion, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to change the white balance of the room to tungsten. So currently we've got it set to whatever the room is at. It's probably around, I don't know, probably around 4,000 or 5,000 Kelvin. For the flashes are generally set up at daylight, which is around 5,500 Kelvin. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the white balance all the way down to tungsten. So it's going to make the room look very, very blue. And then I'm going to create this red light on Paige's face. And it's sort of going to create like a 2-light setup, even though we've just got the 1 light and the ambient light, and it's going to create a really cool effect. Again, your light placement is really, really important in this because you don't want your red light hitting the background. So as you can see, I've got the flash off to the side, and here we go. Let's have a look. 1, 2, and 3. Just have a look at that. That's amazing. Just look straight towards me. Here we go. Beautiful. And as you can see there, we've actually got a really nice Rembrandt style lighting going on there with the red light on Paige's face and the blue ambient light. And as I said, the way that you achieve that is you just change your camera ambient white balance to tungsten or something that's quite blue, and then we've got the red gel on the flash. So one of the things I really love about using the Sony cameras is I'm a big aperture priority shooter, and I love shooting wide open. So I've got my ISO setting on auto, and I can bring my aperture all the way down to f1.4, shooting wide open. And if I take a photograph using the Sony a7 III and the 85mm 1.4 G Master lens, and I can focus right on Paige's eye, and I'll take a photograph, and you'll see that this photograph is 100% in focus. And it's actually amazing how you can shoot wide open using 1.4 and getting even the eye in focus. Truly remarkable. So the second thing I really love about using Sony cameras is right now you can actually see that there is a white box right around Paige's face. So I've got my focus point here to the side, but you can still see that there's a box around Paige's face. And the moment I push this AF on button over here, you'll actually see there's a green dot, green box that goes over Paige's eyes. And even if she moves her head side to side, the camera is still tracking and still keeping her eye in focus. And it's amazing. Even with the white box, you can see as she moves her head, the camera is keeping her in focus. And eye autofocus on the Sonys is actually just one of the most amazing things in the world. So there you have it, guys. That's 10 different lighting setups using just one speed light. I hope you guys have learned something.